We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Hướng thính đại đức tận thinh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhật thiết chúng sanh. Tịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã mùng, như há liêu sanh thoát tư ly khổ đạp lạc, tất chân vô sinh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Namo Saranto Suchedo Ye Alahadi San Miao San Puto Xie. Namo Tadakta Toya Dadya Lahade Tamil Dhammo Dhatwa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I am able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom the thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa bai qian wai jie nan zao yu wo jin jian wen de shou qi yuan jie ru lai zhe shi yi. O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Ching Liang, Great Master Shenhua, all good monks and nuns and all good advisors, Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位禅知识，阿弥陀佛。Chư Phật Bồ Tát, kính thưa Năng Lương Đại sư Hòa thượng Tiến Hóa, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức A Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today is the 9th of December 2022. We are here at Go Forest to continue discussing the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra. We're right now on door number 2, the stores and teachings containing it. This is prepared by Great Master Ching Liang, so it's rather scholarly by nature, by flavor, but it's very, very profound. It's a very nice survey of what we can expect to learn from the Avatamsaka Sutra. You see, it's just extremely comprehensive and very profound. There's nothing it does not contain, and it has the kind of depth that the other sutras don't have. So the context is the second door. We talked about the first door already, the sutra store. The first part is the 3 stores. The first store is a sutra store containing the sermons of the Buddha. Now we're discussing the Vinaya, the second store, which is the precept stores, a morality store. This is so typical of the Buddhist teaching. Is so profound that it is an incredible blessing to be able to have this kind of wisdom, this kind of insights. You see, this is so typical of the Buddhist teaching. We share with you what the truth is, the true marks, the reality of the universe, of life. And then we teach you how to see it for yourself, verify for yourself. Okay? And so it's a two-step dance, if you will. First, you need to learn the basics, concepts. Thank you very much. And then if you really have the blessings, and then you bring forth a desire to experience it yourself. And it is incredibly rewarding to be able to do both. All right. So Vinaya was also is a Sanskrit term that was translated as extinction. Okay, and now we are on the current slide, 177. Text. Extinction has three meanings. One, extinction of karmic errors. Two, extinction of afflictions. Three, obtaining the fruit of extinction.
灭有三义：一、灭业非；二、灭烦恼；三、得灭果。
All right. This is a good translation, but I propose to change it, and if you could change it. Extinction of ye fei should be translated extinction of karmas and errors, not karmic errors. They're not supposed to be combined. Someone will make this change, or you want me to make it? Let's coordinate. Very good. The Chinese, the Vietnamese been done. Karmas and errors. Okay, next slide as well. Oh, I see. Sorry. Karmas and errors. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. Okay, so extinction is the objective of the Vinaya. Vinaya means that if you study Vinaya, you observe Vinaya, you practice Vinaya, it will lead you to experience extinction. The Vinaya is one of the three studies in Buddhism. And so we Buddhist disciples are supposed to study all three. And especially the study of the Vinaya, which most of us monks and nuns are supposed to spend the first part of our career doing. Traditionally, the Chinese monks and nuns spend the first 5 years studying the Vinaya to the exclusion of everything else, which is not the case anymore, meaning that we don't have the same kind of foundations as our forebears, our predecessors have, and which is a shame, because that means that few of us are able to accomplish the fruitions because of the lack of a proper foundation, proper training. So extinction here is Vinaya. So if you study Vinaya, you apply Vinaya, that knowledge of Vinaya, to your daily lives, you will experience extinction. Okay? The extinction here, what are the three kinds of extinction they have in the Vinaya? Extinction of karmas and errors. We just made it a small differentiation in the translation, because ye, fei are two different concepts. It's not the same thing. You're not supposed to combine it. Ye is karmas, meaning offenses. Okay, when we talk about karmas in Chinese, it means you're creating offenses. Okay, any karma you create is an offense, depending on your level. At the low level, the karma you create might be in a coarser form, such as lying. Anyone? No? Oh, all of you are so pure. I don't know about you, every day I lie a little bit. It's such a difficult thing to do, especially you have to deal with customers. How can you not lie? So you see, our karmic obstruction is so heavy because so we create karmas. Karmas are the offenses that we create through our mind, mouth, or body. Okay, so that's what karmas are. What about errors? What's the difference between karmas and errors? Fei in Chinese, it has a couple of important meanings. Fei means that it is a mistake, it's an error, as per the translation here. It also means that it is wrong, it is evil as well. So you see, errors are quite different from karmas. Okay, yeah. So what's the difference? Okay, let me explain it for you. Karmas are the violations against the rules or the law of your Buddha nature. Okay, your Buddha nature by itself is incapable of creating karmas. Okay, so your true Buddha nature is free from karmas. It's because of our confusion, our delusions, the ignorances, we're creating karmas. So that's why the Buddhists have this concept of karmas, where we go against your true nature. And the Buddha explains, if you are in accord with your Buddha nature, you will not create these types of karmas, okay? And because of your lack of wisdom. Buddha nature has a Buddha wisdom, therefore would not create karmas. Whereas when you're disconnected with the Buddha nature, you will create karmas. So far, so good. You will create offenses. What about errors? Karmas is this abstract concept that few people understand. Karmas, right? They just say they colloquially, normal people say, "Oh, I want to stop creating karma," but they actually really don't know what they're talking about. You know, they're not supposed to do something wrong. That's why usually ordinary people equate karmas with errors. Okay, I want to differentiate here in this teaching here. The karmas are the violations against the Buddha nature. Okay, that you don't necessarily understand or are aware of. Whereas errors, you are aware of errors because you know, you yourself know you made a mistake. You committed an error. Yes? That's very important. So we may create karmas, but we don't know we created karmas. Whereas we are aware of our errors. So you study the Vinaya, it will lead you to the elimination of karmas, meaning that you don't no longer create offenses, and you know that you will stop making mistakes on creating evil. That you know. It's not something abstract at all. This is very important to make the distinction, because if you study the Vinaya, observe Vinaya, you know, you yourself know that you're no longer making mistakes. All right? Wei Mao.
Thank you, Master. I appreciate you explaining the difference between karmas and errors. So I understand. I believe there's also good karmas. Is that also correct?
Yes. Good karmas, what the Vinaya specializes in doing is to avoid mistakes, avoid creating offenses. It'll be clear as you study, when you go a little bit further down, and especially in your practice, you see that it becomes so sensible, so logical, but it's not that obvious to us ordinary people. And that's why it's called wisdom. It's called Buddha's wisdom. Only Buddha has a kind of wisdom that he can tell us about the Vinaya, not for ordinary people. Ordinary people would not have this sense of wisdom. Okay? All right. And number two, extinction of afflictions. Extinguish afflictions. Afflictions is another form of word for affliction is outflows, meaning that your life force, you lose it. You experience a loss of your life force. This is such an important Buddhist concept that puts us at advantage over non-Buddhist practitioners because we are taught about leakages and outflows. It's a loss. Okay? Just like here, for ordinary people, we're told that in order to become rich, you want to make sure that you limit your outflows and you maximize your leakages and you maximize your, inflows, yes, your revenues. And it's so fundamental. It's the same thing here. In order for you, the parallel is for you to become rich, the first thing you need to learn is stop your losses, stop your leakages, okay? All the rich families teach their children that. I noticed that. First thing I taught is stop making mistakes. Don't trust them, Don't trust anyone, all those things, okay? And so because that's what will destroy the family wealth. Anyone? Never mind, okay. When you're rich, you know what I mean. So that's why I use the word for rich people. I know exactly the first thing they train the kids is don't make a mistake. Don't protect your wealth. That's the first thing you do. I'm leaving you a lot of money. Protect it. Do not make mistakes. Don't lose it. Okay, don't waste it. Don't squander it. That's leakages right there, right? Same thing in Buddhism. If you want to acquire wisdom, you want to experience bliss, you have to stop your affliction. You have to stop these outflows which prevent you from experiencing the bliss and the opening your wisdom. Okay, so that's why the spiritual practice in Buddhism is so precise. And we teach you chant, we teach you Pure Land, we teach you mantras and so forth. All those practices, even though they don't necessarily spell it out like the chant Dharma door, the chant Dharma door is very clear. We do chant because we stop our afflictions first. Stop it, okay? And so we, the Vinaya too, well, not just chant, Vinaya too is also spells out more precisely the types of afflictions we need to guard against. Okay? And so it's a lot more detail than Chan Dhamma door. So they're basically in Buddhism, we say there are 84,000 afflictions, meaning they're endless afflictions. 84,000 is an Indian concept. anything like 10,000 for the Indian is like, back then it's like infinity for us nowadays. And so 84 is just an exaggeration. And there's so many afflictions, you can't even count them, more or less. Okay, and Master Sheo has a commentary. He says, so what this Vinaya does is it helps us extinguish afflictions, and he says that if you want to extinguish afflictions, then you need to break through ignorance in everything you do. And once ignorance is smashed, afflictions turn to wisdom into Bodhi. And I said, well, I keep on hearing this from all the Chinese teachers. I said, wow, it sounds good. But again, when I first read about this, I said, how? Could you tell me how? We're more in the era of learning recipes and have formulas and programs and so forth. These types of teachings to me are like a promise of the like a promised land, where it makes it different for the intellectuals and the smart people to digest. Huh? Because everyone talks like that. All the monks and nuns talking. You should break through your ignorance, smash ignorance, and then affliction will then turn to wisdom. My question is how? I'm angry. Okay, I am greedy. Yeah. How does ending afflictions and my greed, my anger will bring wisdom to me? What's the process? I'd like to know. Anyone? No comments of you, all of you who've been practicing Buddhism for decades, Chan for many, many years, devout Buddhist followers, and you have no ideas, and you keep on hearing this for 20 years now, 30 years now, 50 years now, and you never dare ask the question, how? Wei Mao.
Thank you, Master, for enabling me to have the courage to ask this question. I agree with you completely. I feel like if you're able to eliminate afflictions and all that stuff, that you would need wisdom to be able to do that. I don't know how you gain wisdom after the fact.
Yeah. I asked the question first. Don't throw it at me.
I would like to second your question, Master.
You second it. Okay, that's okay. Okay, the rest of you, how does it work? It's funny that no one asked. It's sort of like the Buddhist disciples, oh yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. They hear it and they go home and say, they feel so happy, we learned something so important today. And totally useless to you. Okay? Here's how it works. You have afflictions because of your ignorance, your stupidity. Okay? That's a very important concept there. If you're afflicted, it's because you're stupid. When you're afflicted, don't blame it on him. Don't blame it on your wife. Okay? When Jung's wife is mad at him, he says, why can you be so stupid? They've been conning you. They've been cheating you. You says, why are you so afflicted? Now it's my fault? You see? So, fundamentally, if you have afflictions, it's because you're stupid. Don't blame it on others. When are you going to wake up to that? Beautiful. It's a fundamental. If you're afflicted, you're stupid. But the Chinese would never say that. The Koreans would never say that because people don't want to hear it. Okay? You don't say that in polite company. Okay? It's so important to accept this concept. If you have any affliction, you are stupid. Don't blame it on anyone else. Don't think it's your wife's fault or your children's fault. It's just being the stupid self, but it has nothing to do with you. Make sense? So you need to accept this is wisdom behind the Vinaya, and they don't stress it enough. Okay, you have affliction, it's because you're stupid. If you put an end to your affliction, okay, then naturally your wisdom shines by itself. Affliction is like that dust and dirt on your car, on the mirror, that you wipe it, like in the 6th Patriarch Sutra, you dust the mirror. You reveal your wisdom. That's all. So afflictions turned into wisdom only means that get rid of afflictions. Why is there what is the direct relationship between turning affliction into wisdom? It is by you look at the affliction that you have. Stinginess. Anyone? Okay. 2, 3. Oh, only 3 of you. You're so superior people. Stinginess is an affliction. Okay? So what's inherent in this teaching here is that if you are aware of your affliction, let's say you're stingy, you're angry, you are greedy of flavors. Today we have some very nice bagels, let me tell you, and I had to sit there and control myself. I said, no, no. And what do you do when you present with like several nice-looking bagels? And Ray did it. He took out some bread and dipped it into this broth. I said, "Oh my God, sacrilegious!" I was so afflicted. Anyway, so what happened is that you are your affliction. Okay, you chop it off. It reveals the wisdom behind. That's all it does. So turning affliction, the term affliction turns to wisdom is that if you get rid of that one affliction, you have more wisdom. It's that simple. Why can't the monks and nuns explain that? Because they couldn't do it. Huh? Anyone enlightened yet? Let me see. It should be a light bulb should go off in your mind. Bing! Yeah, I'm enlightened. Not quite there yet. You're not meditating hard enough. Okay, you see? So that's wisdom into Bodhi, and that's the process behind it. It's that simple, and yet we monks and nuns fail to explain it to you. There's some clear advantages of cleansing yourself and getting rid of our afflictions. It's not simply an intellectual concept. There's some clear advantages to that. Yes, Orange.
What does it mean by turning into Bodhi?
Turning into Bodhi is enlightenment. Okay. Bodhi is enlightenment. Okay, so if you get rid of your afflictions, if you have afflictions, you can turn your afflictions into enlightenment. And this is our secret in Mahayana training. Okay, the Hinayana, what do? They avoid afflictions, don't they? Huh? Totally opposite of us. Yes? They run away from afflictions by isolating themselves behind four walls. That's why I call Hinayana practice. Or they go away from civilization, away from people in particular. Okay? People, children are the worst source of affliction, let's face it. All right? And so they run away from the source of afflictions. What do? We look for afflictions like the bodhisattvas. That's what differentiates Mahayana from Hinayana and all the other spiritual paths. Yes, you too.
From Malcolm, Master, besides chant, can we also limit outflows by listening to the Dharma and reciting the Buddha's name?
Absolutely. Every time you recite the Buddha's name, you invisibly reduce your afflictions. But in your particular case, Malcolm, you have so many that when you recite the Buddha's name, the reduction are not enough to offset the increase of affliction you are experiencing. But it's still better than nothing, because it minimizes, reduces the accumulation of afflictions. So yes, short answer is yes. Anyone else? Yes, sir, yellow.
With the history of the bagel that you were telling, how were you able to turn that into wisdom?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. How were you able to turn the history that you were telling about the bagel, into wisdom?
Someone has helped me out. Somehow I lose a few words here and there, and I apologize for having to make you repeat so often.
Yeah, no, I'll speak higher. Yeah, so you were telling a history about the bagel that you were trying to not to eat it, and you were afflicted. So how could you turn that into wisdom?
Good question. Help. Very good. I'm glad you asked. What's your name again? Yeah? How do you turn that into wisdom? Very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yellow.
Did you end up having the bagel or not?
I'm sorry.
Did you end up eating the bagel?
Oh, the bagel?
Yeah.
Oh, you bet. Oh. And I enjoyed it tremendously. As I said, do what I say, don't do what I do. Okay, so how do you turn that into wisdom? Very good. I'm glad you asked, because I remember I said a two-step dance. I only gave you the first step. There's another one coming. Okay? And you are the only one who is listening clearly. Okay? The requirement is that you first must not be afflicted for your nature to come out, okay? to come forth. And the second step is that there is a unfolding of wisdom that only occurred because you planted the seeds of wisdom already. This is a difference between the Buddhist practices, especially Mahayana practices, versus the other practices. For example, when I was practicing as a novice, I encountered a lot of competition, non-Buddhist competition. For example, from the yogis, from the Hindus. Some of them are externalists as well, and they were making a lot of noises because they're showing their strength. Say, look, we have a lot of followers. Look at our strength. Look at our wealth. Look at our reputation, and so forth. Okay, and they're very impressive. They have the numbers and the manifestation results to show for themselves. But when you listen to their teachings, they're very confused. Once you listen to Buddhist teachings, like I did, and I then listened to Qinghai. Anyone know Qinghai? The Vietnamese externalist, okay? Very famous. You go to Love Hut, that's hers. I still go to Love Hut occasionally to check the competition. Okay, so what happened to me personally is that I lucked out. Contrary to most of the Buddhist practitioners, I didn't know anything about Buddhism. In fact, before I got into this thing here, I thought that Buddha was nonsense. Who cares? Who needs Buddhas anyway? I was very, very disrespectful and more or less insolent, which is a serious offense. But my fortune was I lucked out in that instead of learning Hinayana teachings, okay, which I went to Hinayana meditation, Vietnamese Hinayana meditation teacher. I wasn't home. And so my driver then drove me to the next one available, which is Master Hsuan temples. And so I went there and I picked up some materials, came back, and I started to read on his stuff. So that's what happened to me. Once I read his stuff, it became my reference points. So later I read I went and saw the Qinghai's teachings or Hinayana teachings from the Vietnamese monk, Thông Lạc, whatever, okay? It was a 4th-stage Rahat, Thai teachings, Japanese teachings, Tibetan teachings, so forth. And I realized, wow, there's a world of difference in the wisdom, in Mahayana, okay? Or I listened to the translation of the Japanese or Korean teachings. I thought, wow, it falls so short of the big picture of the Master Hsuan's teaching, if you will. And so my point being that that's the second step right there. You need to listen or to read the teachings for you to unfold your wisdom. The seeds has to be there. If it's not there, that's what happens to the non-Mahayana practitioners. They practice, they work very hard. They devote their entire lives practicing purity and so forth. Okay, like the Brahmins, like the yogis and so forth. But the wisdom is limited because they don't have any real seeds of wisdom. That's the difference. You too.
From Sarah B. Master, when we recognize an affliction, what should we do next?
Could you increase the volume a little bit? I have a little of a competition here. So.
From Sarah B. Master, when we recognize an affliction, what should we do next?
What do you next after you recognize your affliction? Okay? Then, if you recognize your affliction, then you say, do I want it or not? If you want your affliction, eat the bagels. You don't want your affliction, say, no, thank you, not today. That's all. It's that simple. If you indulge in your afflictions, then the afflictions grows. It takes root. If you say no, the affliction just zaps. YouTube. The problem is that you cannot stop yourself. It's very difficult for you to stop, which I experienced today. I said, wow, this is 95% of New York bagels quality. It's incredible in California, so how can I possibly pass it up? Are you crazy? Yes, you too?
From Cordellia, Master, when I see I'm upset, I acknowledge it and try to see why, but can't a lot of time, but the affliction is less and less each time. Is this how to see my affliction, or should I approach it another way?
You're doing just fine. Here's another thing, which is the reason why you see your affliction, but you cannot get rid of your afflictions. It's because you don't have enough blessings. Just try to tell people you should meditate. They say, nah, it hurts too much. And you say, no, the hurting is very good for you. Makes you healthier. It will heal your illness. It will, make you less depressed. And so I say, nah, I can't. I don't have time. I'm too busy. I have to work. Can you see how much work I have? And it turns out that's what everyone objects to, that they don't have time. We tell them, how about sleeping 1 hour less every day? Get up. You don't have time, sleep 1 hour less. Get up an hour early and meditate. And it will pay off handsomely for you. And those people who did that agreed. And it's because they have the blessings. That's why they're able to do it. Whereas the people who we give the same instructions for everyone. We don't say, oh, I like you, so I give you more instruction than the next person, and so forth. Everyone gets the same instructions. And if you can do it, then we give you more instructions. Okay? So the difference is that the people who are able to recognize their afflictions and decided to stop their afflictions are the ones who have the blessings. What are the blessings? Let me explain to you. Take the example for the bagels today. Okay? I have the blessing to recognize that bagels is the affliction. Okay? Enjoying the bagel is affliction does not look good to my followers at the lunch table. They judge you. You know what I mean? Say, look at Master, he's so greedy for flavors. So it used to happen to me. I was a novice, and we are known to be in Master Hsu's temple to be like we eat one meal a day, and we don't eat past noon and so forth. And this Vietnamese Chinese guy is really sleaze. It's really a sleazeball. And he will come to us and he say, I love you, I love Master YongHua, you are a disciple of Master YongHua, I support you. But you know what? He would bring us out. This is at Long Beach Monastery where we were training the young novices. We take the novice out to go camping, we come back, and of course we run out of food. Okay, we only brought food to go to eat. And on the way back, we ran out of food. So we stopped by a Pizza Hut. And you know, for us Chinese temples, we don't eat pizza. The Chinese, for some reason, don't eat pizzas in the temples back then. So for us, pizza, oh my God, pizza. So, our eyes is very big, and the guy, you see the pleasure in this guy. Say, wow, see, you're not as pure as you want us to believe. He has this evil satisfaction in his eyes. You say, see, caught you again. That's what he does. That's what he enjoys doing. He comes to our temples and learns the Dharma, learns Shranga mantra, learns the 42 Hensai and so forth. But what he really loves is to trip us. I played Chinese chess with him. Okay? We're not supposed to play games, but during the camping trip there, okay, I remember, I don't know, you ever played Chinese chess? It's very addictive. Once you get going, you can't stop. So he says he was playing Chinese chess with the head monk, and the head monk was losing like crazy. So he said, "Who's next?" Proudly said, "Who's next? Who of you losers who are going to challenge me?" So I said, "Can I?" I said, "Can I?" He said, "Of course, go." So I played, and he's beating me. Okay, and because I haven't played for a long time, and I couldn't stop. It's time for us to go camping, go walking, and go hiking. And I said, no, you go. I'm not going hiking. And I was playing with him for like 12 hours straight. And in Yosemite, whatever that place is, there's so many mosquitoes. And mosquitoes feeding on my head, my bald head. And I was going like this while playing chess. It's so ridiculous. He really enjoyed it. My head was like bumps all over, and towards the second or third day, I started beating him. But anyway, so this guy is pretty evil. He really enjoys tripping us, and so. The same thing here with the bagel. So you have the option, you have the choice. You say, I'm supposed to stop, okay? But why can't you stop? You can't stop because you don't have enough blessings. Can I be more specific? What kind of blessings are we talking about? The blessings where I ate much better bagels than before. Then I say, no, this is nothing. Does it help? See, that's why my thing is that I let my boys and girls eat the good stuff, so that when you guys tempt them, they say, I had better before. That's blessings. Does it make sense to you? It's alluring because you don't have it. But once you have it, you say, I want a nicer red car. Come on. Is that all you can do? See? YouTube.
Malcolm, the bagels at DTT were great, and Vimbo Shen Yao made pancakes. From Jane, Montreal bagels are way better. From Sophia Gu, Master, I second the Buddha recitation method in eliminating afflictions. When I was scolded by my parents in the past, I was so terrified I felt like fainting. Now, after 1 month of reciting Amitabha Buddha, every time I'm scolded, the fear has magically and completely disappeared. I didn't know I could ever live like this without the constant fear. I'm very grateful to Master and the Sangha for this.
You're welcome. Okay. You see, there are many ways to cut off your afflictions. And I just show you one with many, many more. Fundamentally, you're able to cut off your afflictions because you have enough blessing. This is not explained enough by the Chinese. And you see, when you start cultivating intensively, like in Chanchi here, you see why you cannot cut off your afflictions. There's some affliction is just overwhelming for you. Okay, for example, if you're depressed, this depression here, you cannot overcome. This bad feeling here, feeling bad, you can't overcome. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Orange.
Master, I just want to share my own experience that I've been practicing for the past couple of years that I found very efficient for myself is that so every time that I have unpleasant thought arising, I try to tell myself that you are being very stupid right now. And I think the key part in there is that I have to really mean it, like I'm very, very stupid. And I tell myself that I have to be brave enough to really mean when I say I'm stupid. And it's been working very well. So if I'm practicing the right way, I hope it helps to share it for everyone.
Okay, very good. You're able to do it because you have the blessings again. Okay, but a better way for you is to do nothing at all. Whatever, whatever the thought arises, you don't do anything. You don't react to it. You don't think it's a bad idea. You don't think it's a stupid thing. You do nothing whatsoever. And that's a Chan. Chan is the first stage for you is to learn to go into the state of non-karmas that he's talking about. Extinction of karma meaning you do nothing. And then you do nothing, you're not creating karmas of the body, the mind, of the mouth, meaning you do nothing whatsoever. Don't even say, no, this is a stupid thing. No, I'm going to fight. Okay? No. No, you simply do nothing whatsoever. Okay? And that will bring you to the extinction of the non-creation of karmas. Okay? That's all. Let it die. Basically, it's a thought. A pleasant thought or unpleasant thought, let them die. Okay? So many ways to get there. Either you do it right now or you do it later. Once you get to the level where we find, you help you to find a way to get there, to the point where now, for example, I taught. I can teach certain people to basically wipe out the affliction just like that, if they choose to. Okay, or you develop the ability, and through your Chan practice, to do it automatically, and you start by not doing anything. Just look at it. That's all. Don't do anything. Wu zuo. Vietnamese vô tác. You don't create karmas. If you think, you say, oh, this is an affliction, that's a thought karma right there. You don't even do that. Okay? All right. And again, you're able to do it. I just gave you the theory, but the practice is not as simple as people think. You can't sit still. And I touch your egos and touch your ghosts. They drive you crazy. Okay. But I started by telling you that our practice is different in that we look for afflictions. When there's affliction, we go and go towards it closer and closer so that we can look at it more clearly, the nature of the affliction, instead of saying, no, I don't get afflicted. Okay? And so ultimately, our Mahayana practice is a lot more effective because we seek for afflictions. Because if you understand this phrase here, afflictions can turn into wisdom, into bodhi, then afflictions are very beneficial. Why do you have to run away from it? Why do you have to stop eating bagels? You stop eating bagels because you fear that you're going to get fat, right? I get fat, it doesn't bother me. At least that's my excuse. Huh? You see? So there's so many ways to do it. Yeah. We seek afflictions, we're not afraid of afflictions, and when affliction come, we look at it and we have different ways of dealing with it. And if you deal with it properly, that's when your wisdom unfolds. Okay? The Hinayana practitioners, of course, the non-Buddhists, they forget it. They get afflicted, they have no clues. Okay? And sometimes they find it desirable. For example, they seek the bliss from their spiritual practice. That's an affliction. They love it. They seek results. That's an affliction. Greed, yes? That's an affliction. And because of that, they cannot unfold the wisdom, no matter how long they practice. It's so ingrained in the psyche. The basis is that they want bliss, they want advantages, they want spiritual penetrations, they want recognition, and all those are baked into the base. So that doesn't matter what later, when they switch to Buddhism, because they like the advantage of having greater spiritual penetrations, having more glamour, and so forth. But because of their inherent greed that baked into the system, it's very difficult for them to discern, or differentiate, and detach from it. So it's a lot more damaging than people realize. You too.
From Cordellia, when I was younger, my mom would give me things that most people don't have. So now I see luxury things. I say, I got all those before, nothing new. Now I try to give my son more than what he wants. Is this spoiling him, or am I giving him opportunity to say, nah, I experienced that already? Next, so he can drop things easier like me later on.
Could you crank up the volume a little bit again, please? This woman here is about to fall asleep. And for most people, it's considered to be in samadhi. For me, it's annoying. When you speak to people, you need to make sure that your point gets across. You know, say, I am at peace, I am blissful, you cannot afflict me. And then stay home. Be by yourself. We're here with others because we want to reach out. We want to share. We want to get afflicted together. And then we deal with the afflictions later.
When I was younger, my mom would give me things that most people don't have. So now I see luxury things. I say, I got all those before, nothing new. Now I try to give my son more than what he wants. Is this spoiling him, or am I giving him the opportunity to, or am I giving him opportunity to say, nah, I experienced that already, so that next time he can drop things easier like me later on?
What do you think? I don't have any sons, so I'm at a loss. What do? You spoil them? Or is it spoiling or what? There's nothing wrong with giving your loved ones good things and spoil them. I think it's normal. Isn't that how we express our love? You give them more, the best we can give, right? That's normal. That's what is called love. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. It's only wrong when they become attached to it. So when you give them things, let them enjoy it. When they become attached to it, slap them and stop giving them. You say, you enjoy it too much. Okay? So that when I give you things, enjoy that moment only. Get that bagel, eat it, enjoy it. But don't you dare ask for it again next week or tomorrow. Does it make sense? You don't need to be afraid. There's nothing wrong with liking it and enjoying it. This is being human. It's being normal. It's being yourself. Being grateful. Living to live. Just don't be attached. Enjoy that moment, and then that's it. Be mindful at that moment, and then drop it. Okay? And go work out, Go work off the calories. Second question.
That's it, Master.
Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? 179, commentary. Extinction, the third meaning of extinction is to obtain the fruit of extinction. Extinction here refers to advantages. Extinction of all outflows, extinctions of afflictions. And that is what we Buddhists call nirvana. Nirvana is where we wish to reach. And it's the most worthwhile goal in life, if you will. Okay? 180, or else is called Shila in Chinese, transliterated briefly or in full, which means clear coolness. Since with leaving heated afflictions as the cause, one obtains the fruit of clear coolness.
或名实罗，具云赤达罗，此云清凉，离热恼因，得清凉果故。
Okay, 181, commentary. It's Shila, or that the Sanskrit also pronounces as Shila. And Shila means clear coolness. So, I think this 182, because it's referring to the causal relationship. Because you leave, you be apart from. Well, leaving, I still struggle with the concept of li a little bit, but it has the concept of leaving here, li, is to put a wall, primarily, between you and the affliction, okay? Or put a distance between you and the affliction, so to separate yourself from the affliction, okay? And the affliction, actually, when you're afflicted, it creates heat. Heat here refers to discomfort. Your Buddha nature is not comfortable. It causes anomalies. Your Buddha nature is cool by itself. When you're afflicted, it heats it up. Unnecessary heat. So that's why, in particular, it's very easy for you to see that when you get angry, as an affliction, anger is an affliction, you feel hot. And the person you're angry at also feels hot, feels uncomfortable. Yes? And that's a typical example of how, when we are afflicted, our system heats up. So this is a loss of life force. Okay? And if you don't allow yourself to heat up, don't allow yourself to have such leakages through afflictions, then your self-nature is in natural state of clarity and coolness. In other words, you're afflicted. All you have to do is get rid of your affliction, then you go back to your original state of coolness and clarity of mind. It's that simple. You don't need to do anything but stop the afflictions. Okay. So, when you cool and your head is clear, you can see clearer. You're not as confused. 183. It is also called pratimoksha, which means separate liberation. This takes its name from the cause.
一名波罗提木叉，此云别解脱。
184
此就
commentary.
应得名。
Okay. 184 commentary. You see, isn't it amazing that the Vinaya is such an important core Buddhist practice, and yet we don't practice it anymore? We don't learn it anymore? It's because we are lacking in blessings ourselves. This is our foundation. That's why only in the Mahayana system, where the patriarchs had to devise a mechanism, some sleight of hands to teach us, so that they insert this Vinaya into their teachings, because it's necessary. Without the Vinaya knowledge, you cannot bring down the coolness, bring down the. It's much easier for you to cut off afflictions. You recognize that's undesirable. The reason we embrace afflictions is because we find it appealing. We didn't know, in other words, didn't know better. Okay, so the pratimoksha here, a Sanskrit word, which means separate liberation. Pratimoksha is precepts and takes the name from the cause. The name is separate liberation, and we'll explain it furthermore, 185. Nonetheless, it has two meanings. One, it is called separate as distinct from samadhi and the way.
然有二义：一简易定道，名之为别。
Okay, 186. It has two meanings. One, the first meaning in pratimoksha is that it's called separate liberation. Separate here as distinct from samadhi and the way. Meaning that it help keep us apart from what binds us, and differently from the way you could do that with samadhi or with the spiritual practice of the way. Okay, this is another way to attain liberation for us. Okay? 187. 2, it is called separate, since each of these karmas and 7 members guard against errors, which also translates as according liberation.
2. 三业7支各个防非，故名为别，一番为随顺解脱。
Okay, 188. Let's look at the text itself first. It is separate, because each of the 3 karmas are karmas of the body, mouth, and mind. Okay, and 7 members with the 3 evils of the body, the 4 of the mouth. Bodies engage in the karmas of killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. Mouth engage in coarse language, double tongue, to lie and loose speech. Okay, and the minds are greed, anger, stupidity. So you separate from the 3 karmas and the 7 members, these 10 evil deeds. That's how you guard against errors. You don't make mistakes. Right? It also translates as according liberation. Okay? According liberation. I'm sure they explain a little bit. 为随顺解脱. Okay? So the name here has different connotations. 190. This being established upon the fruit, since accord with the fruit of the 2 kinds of liberation, conditioned and unconditioned.
此具果力，随顺有为无为2种解脱果故。
Okay, 191. This separate liberation is based upon this fruition, the kind of the results, the desirable results. Okay, which they are the, if you practice moksha, you will attain liberations from the conditioned and unconditioned. Okay. Now, another important Buddhist concept. Okay, conditioned is conditioned. The term there, conditioned yuan. Okay, is dictated by the laws and cause and effect. So anything that exists is conditioned. Okay? So in the Vaisha Sutra, the Buddha taught that all conditioned dharmas, meaning everything in this world, okay? All the things that you see in this world are but a dream. Okay? They are not real. The bubbles, they have no substance. They're empty inside. They are like shadows. They're not, they simply are reflections that of something else you cannot really see. The real deal you cannot see. Okay? So you're fooled by shadows. You're attached to secondary stuff. Do is something that will be short-lived. As soon as light comes on, the heat comes on from the sun, dew evaporates. Okay, so it cannot stand the test of time and brightness. and clarity. Okay, meaning that do is not something you should be attached to. You have wisdom. Lightning is very brief. It's that brief, meaning that whatever you think is so important to you is but a lightning. If you look at the time continuum, whatever you experience right now is but a lightning flash, because you forgot already where you came from. You are here today because you've been traveling since beginningless time until this point, tonight. And then we continue to do that, okay? Endlessly. And that's what you've been doing. That's what you've been conditioned to do. Because you're attached to all these worldly things. Wei Mao.
Thank you, Master. I really appreciate you going through this sutra like this. And I've been listening to the Avatamsaka Sutra for some time now, and I've made an observation. Some people might think it's silly, but I see there's a lot of metaphor for sweet things like sweet dew and fruit, which is sweet. But not one time have I seen the sutra talk about the vegetable of fruition or the vegetable of liberation. And I don't know why I have to call that out, but it's like, why is it always fruit?
It's a Korean thing. Korean likes sweet stuff. Why are you so attached to flavors?
My wife to eat more vegetables. I feel like the sutras could do their part and encourage me. It's like if it's the vegetable of liberation, I would feel inspired. But it's always the fruit.
It's so American of you. This is an Asian thing. Okay. What we Asian refer when we talk about fruit, what are we talking about? You Asian people. It's not even a white person here today. Somebody. But he's not real. Okay? What are when we talk about fruit of fruition, what are we referring to? It really bothers this pale-faced person. He keeps on harping about this endlessly. Every time I bring up the notion, the word fruit, he says, objection! Yeah, what are we referring to? Fruition, fruit, what is it? Yes, yellow.
Talking about the effect. Cause and effect.
The effect, yes. What effect are we talking about? You have to explain it in terms that these pale-faced people understand. The effect, the fruit here, refers to something desirable. For them, it's like, if I do this, what's in it for me? For us Asians, I do this, it's not for me. It's for my mother. Okay? So we Asians are conditioned different. The Westerners, the young people nowadays, why do you have to do this? Right? Hey, young Koreans over there at JC. Am I correct? You guys say, why do you have to do this? What's in it for me? Why do you have to make sacrifices? Why do you have to take a loss? What's in it for me? Why do you give up bagel? Why do you have to give up kimchi? Huh? Because it's beneficial. All right? So that's why when you make sacrifices, you plant the causes for you to get the better fruits than if you were to indulge yourself. Okay? So fruit here refers to something desirable that is, or undesirable, but in here in particular is the fruit here refers something, a desirable consequence of what? For the causes. So it's not necessarily sweet. Why do you have to be so stuck on fruit, a pale-faced person? Or vegetables for that matter?
Well, I'm just holding out hope, you know, for the
What about
Avatamsaka Sutra.
Wagyu beef? What do you
Maybe at
call
some
that?
point-
Is it fruit or vegetables?
Could there be the asparagus of liberation? You know, like
Yes, there is asparagus liberation, Wagyu beef liberation, New York steak, Neapolitan pizza.
the kimchi
Bagels?
of liberation.
Absolutely.
That's a vegetable.
Not
I
just
just-
cheese. We're talking about very good cheese.
I don't want any missed opportunities. You know, like advocate for
Absolutely.
things that
That's
have
the
benefits.
whole point. The whole point is it's very desirable. The fruit is something desirable. That is a desirable result from the causes you plant. Okay? And that's wisdom right there, because if you plant the proper cause, you will get the proper fruit, the proper fruition. The fruition, actually fruition is a better word, because fruition is that it has a connotation of a desirable outcome, which is more appealing to you Westerners, or you poor people. It's like when you're poor, I remember being immigrant, I'm always so used to being poor, when you have no money, you're trying to buy food to eat and then fill up your stomach and so forth. You pale-faced people never had to experience that. For us, it's like once we experience hunger, you're always poor. For some of us, it's like an indelible scar in our psyche, and we're always poor the rest of our lives. And that we have said, now things are better. I still remember the days when we were so poor and we struggled so much. And so it's a psychological scar right there. And so Buddhism just removes all that, okay? And instead of focusing on that, we said, why don't you plant the right causes to get the desirable fruits? Forget about the rest. Forget about the past. It doesn't matter. Does it help? Pale-faced person?
Thank you, Master. Yes, it helps. And just for reference, when I moved to LA and I was poor and had to really manage every penny, I used to think of peanut butter and crackers as my steaks. So that was my version of that,
Oh, my heart bleeds for you. You haven't heard you don't know what it's like to be poor yet. Let him have it, folks. I was so poor and hungry, my hand shook. Couldn't even stand up. I was so proud to ask for help. I said, I'd rather die than ask for help. And that's what she's experiencing right now from hunger. She says, I'd rather die than give up. It builds character. And so again, it's a good objection. Yes, absolutely, we need to help the Westerners understand this concept of fruit and fruition, and it's implied in our Asian cultures, but not to them. Thank you for being such a pest. Question from JMT.
들리시나요? 네, 감사합니다. 저는 이거 조금 개인적인 질문일 수도 있고 그런데 이게 제가 예전부터 생각을 했어요. 요즘에 저희가 이제 로봇 발전도 많이 되고 이제 뭔가 새로운 이제 사람 대신 대체물을 지금 만들고 있는데 그러면 사람은 이제 어디서 왔는지 좀 많이 궁금했고 만약에 우리도 누군가가 만들어서 이제 저희도 생성돼 지금 현재 상황에 사람들도 있고 뭐 자연도 있고 그런데 이 우주가 시뮬레이션 된 건지가 궁금합니다. 그리고 시뮬레이션 되었다면 우리 각각 개인에 대해서 생각이나 이런 프로그램을 했을 것 같은데 이게 만약에 이제 프로그램이 되어 있다면은 이제 해탈이나 이런 열반 그런 것들을 통해서 이 프로그램 밖으로 벗어날 수 있는 건지 그러니까 제 요점은 이 세상이 시뮬레이션 되고 저희가 프로그램이 되어 있다면은 이제 그거를 벗어나기 위해서 해탈이나 열반, 깨달음 이런 거를 가야 되는지 가서 벗어날 수가 있는지 예, 이런 것들이 궁금합니다.
Master, these days we develop some robot, so we substitute human. Like this, I want to know where our human come from. Is it somebody make it? And if I wonder also whether the universe is simulated. If it is simulated, our thought is programmed. Then can we get out of the programming with liberation and nirvana?
Okay. How were we created? You were created by your parents and then they were created by their parents. And then you go back up in time, that's how it has happened. Okay? And then if you say, but what about the first man? Is it Adam or Eve? I say, it's neither. Okay, the first men and women came from the heavens. Okay, the heavens they were heavenly beings, the god and goddesses. They flew down to our earth here, and then they settle here. And then the next question you ask, where do the gods and goddesses come from? And I say, shall I continue? It's going to take some time. And then the gods and goddesses are created because they're created by transformation. They don't need mothers and fathers. They just poof, and they appear. So far, so good. See, it's amazing. The Buddhists never explain it to them Westerners this way. That's why the young people nowadays, that's why they say, I don't know, you guys are speaking nonsense. Where did it come from? I say, you came from your parents. Who else? And they came from parents. And you see, that's how you explain to them. Understand? And then they say, but what about Adam and Eve? They say, Adam and Eve didn't come from anyone's ribs. Okay? They came actually from the heavens. And then they ask, what heavenly beings? How did they come from? It's transformation. How come it's transformation? Transformation because it's transformation, you idiot. Okay? So transformation meaning it came. Like that. It just appeared. That's called transformation. It's not there. All of a sudden, boom, it's there. That's why it's called transformation. So then the next, how do I transform? Right? Now we're in the third level. How do I transform? Let me explain to you how to transform. Do we have much time? I don't. Transform because the will. I want to transform. That's why it came about from me. Someone has a thought. It says, I want this. And that's how it transforms. So for example, the people who are born in the heavens because they have this thought. It says, I want to be Neo-God, for example. Okay? I want to fly. I want to live forever. So because of those thoughts and the blessings, that's how they're born in the heavens, by transformation. They don't need a father and mother. They just, poof, they appear on the father's laps. Okay, that's how the heavenly beings are born. And so forth. You can go through the entire universe. You see that you can trace them back and see, animals came from us, okay, and so forth. And it's all King Yama's fault, okay. And of course, it's also because of the American Republicans, ultimately. Okay, and so, or I don't know the various political parties in Korea. Yeah. Anyway, North Korea also is at fault. So my point is that the Buddha has that kind of wisdom where he sees how living beings revolve in this thing called the wheel reincarnation. Okay, and that's how it's been happening to all of us. That's why it's called conditions. Whatever you see right now has root causes that goes so far back that we don't even remember anymore. No one knows how it started anymore. That's why it's called conditioned. Conditioned because it's called condition arising, condition arisal. Yeah, it's because it's something else produced it. Okay? Something caused it to come into being. That's why it's called conditioned. And so everything you see now in this world, in this universe, is conditioned. That's a very important concept. It came from somewhere. It was created by something. That one thing there, you know what that is? Would like to know. Ultimately, what is that thing? The Buddha taught that too. What is that thing? Anyone? Quickly, I'm running out of time. Quickly. What is that thing? Buddha talked about this. What started it all? What started this mess? One thought. One thought. And that's in the Avatamsaka Sutra. The Buddha says, originally, there's nothing. Okay? And then all of a sudden, there's one false thought arises. And that one thought started the whole chain reaction that eventually, over time, that's how we are here. Because that one thought. So Mary Jo and Bosco are wrong. It's not our father's fault, our parents' fault. It's the fault of way back, before there's any Asians or Americans and so forth. Even Americans are just one false thought from Asians. And you Asian came from Vietnamese thought. Okay? That one thought started it all. Go ahead, DTT. Wow, it's people at DTT. So that's the answer to your question. The answer to your question is that if you want to trace it back step by step, would take too long. You'll be dead before we can finish. And that's why to try to trace it back would be futile. You don't have enough time. Yes, go ahead. DTT.
Emitofuo Master. So before all this, when I talk to people, they're like, oh, I could remember things back into like when I was like 2 years old. I was like, really? Okay. and I see that they're really afflicted and everything. And I look at myself like, oh, I can tell you I don't remember a thing from my past. So I feel really stupid when I talk to them. And when I tell them that I can't remember anything that I did yesterday, it's like a conversation killer. So is this blessing in disguise, or am I, I mean, I know I'm really stupid, but in real life, am I really that stupid that I can't remember anything? But I mean, if I need to do something, I can. So
Okay, fair question. Why do you need to know at all? Why is it important? It's sometimes better not to know. You only want to know what's important. You don't want to know all the junk. This is what people keep on asking, especially the smart people is wondering, why? I need to understand. Can you explain to me? I said, I will explain to you when it's time to explain to you. Because only when I give you knowledge in order to help you open your wisdom, not give you knowledge for the sake of giving you knowledge to show to you I know. Okay? There's no satisfaction, there's no real benefit for me personally to give you knowledge. That's just garbage. Why not? Because of this one thing people don't realize. There's something called 所知障, meaning the obstruction of what is known. Whatever you know would obstruct you in your spiritual practice. This is why we don't give you knowledge unless it's necessary. We want to give you knowledge in order to help you break through your obstructions, not create more obstructions for you. Is it clear, He Fan? I know she's listening. She's the one who keeps on asking me, why? I think I know this is what happened to me. And that's, now I see it clearly. Oh, I'm so happy. Finally I understand. The understanding there is a burden. That's why there's no need to understand. Okay? Too much understanding is the burden. It's baggage. You too.
At this one thought.
One thought? I just talked about you don't want to have thoughts.
Who had this one thought?
Just a thought arises. There's no who yet. What makes you think that you must need a person to have a thought? See, the more you tell them, the more they want to find out. Tell me about that thought of yours. Is it white? Is it yellow? How long was it? What was it about? And on and on and on. You see, YouTube question.
From Layo, didn't the Buddha say if you ponder upon the very beginning of everything, you'll go crazy? Something like this? And prevented living beings to think about this subject?
Repeat that.
Didn't the Buddha say, if you ponder upon the very beginning of everything, you'll go crazy? Something like this?
No, he never said so.
And living beings to think about this subject?
No. Buddha never said that. The Buddha never tried to explain too much to his disciples. That's go back to the slide 192 here, because I like to finish it. So, because you go trace way back, you can see how all this mess came about according to the Buddha. So if you force me to say, what is that thought? I can give you more details, but and you keep on pressing me, eventually I say, I don't know. Okay? So it's best that I stop right now. Because eventually you will get me, okay? And so I admit you will get me. Okay, then we ended at there. You eventually, I will eventually reach my limit. And you laugh, aha, now I know. And that's not going to help you either. So all you need to know is very important right now, is that everything you see in this world is conditioned. All your suffering in particular is conditioned. Does it make sense? Huh? You're suffering because of your wife, clearly. Okay? And your wife suffers because of you. It's a two-way street. So our sufferings are conditioned, are conditional. That's why I always chuckle when the smart Alex try to tell me, I love you unconditionally. I say, no, you don't. You can't fool me. But anyway, so everything in this world, doesn't matter. Everything you can think of is conditioned. It was created by another cause. Okay? So if you try, like the scholars, to trace it back, okay, to go back in time and find out, again, I said, it's not enough time in your life, ever, for you to ever be able to go back to the very first thought that started this mess, okay? Which is a very futile attempt to do. Instead, the Buddha says, you should be aware that everything is conditioned, your suffering is conditioned, and if you believe that, then there's a way for you to put an end to this. It's not so much about knowing why, but it's how to put an end to all this suffering, all these conditions. And that's when you reach the unconditioned. Okay? So once you reach liberation by discovering the unconditioned, okay, that is called an unconditioned liberation. And once you have the unconditioned liberation, then you can experience conditioned liberation. There's a sequence, there's an order, and that's why he talked about conditioned and unconditioned liberations. They didn't explain it for you, but this is what has to happen. Everyone said, oh, what shall I ask? Your spiritual practice, this is what we try to help you do, is use the conditioned to get to the unconditioned. And once you get to the unconditioned, you're no longer bothered by the conditioned. Does it make sense? Right now, the conditions bothers you. Your husband bothers you. There's some things about him that's really very annoying. Your wife, the same thing. Talking to someone this morning, I don't even talk to her about it. I don't care. I say, she's your wife. It's impossible to talk to her. Make her understand. See, there's some condition, suffering somewhere there. Okay. Yes, yellow.
So is it correct that in our practice we should just continue to extinguish our conditions, or the afflictions from our conditions, and then when we continue to do that, then we'll achieve the, I guess, the unconditioned liberation?
Sounds good to me. Sounds like a good plan. Yeah. Okay, the young lady.
I'm sorry, I don't understand kind of at all.
Good. Keep that thought.
Can you please give like a specific example?
No, I don't want to. It's best you don't know. I just told you what is the matter with you. This is the problem with you people. You're too smart. You say, I just told you, you don't need to know. I will tell you when you need to know, just tell me more. You see how typical. It doesn't matter. As soon as I say something, oh yeah? And? It doesn't matter. You don't listen, do you? Yeah, and this is a fallacy of the teachers trying to explain too much to you. It causes problems for you. YouTube question.
Master, can you explain the unconditioned again?
The unconditioned refers to your Buddha nature. Once you become enlightened, you'll be able to connect with your Buddha nature. You have a mechanism to connect with your Buddha nature voluntarily. Now you cannot. Now for you it's hit and miss. You cannot tell. You cannot tell is it you or your Buddha nature. So, for example, your instinct, men's instinct, much better than women's instinct. Okay. Just an example. Instinct is quite often for women. Instinct is very sharp, very accurate. That's a Buddha nature right there. Problem is that you don't know how to use your instinct consistently, right? Because for you, sometimes it works. And as soon as something important comes up, your instinct really don't work anymore. It's only accurate when it's not that important. When something important like money, love, and so forth, you are totally confused. Agree? I know you women, you have that problem. We don't. We are always clear. We're always clear in our head until you appear in the horizon. Okay, no, I'm joking, of course. But that's precisely the point. The instinct we have, both us, men and women, and animals, okay, that's our Buddha nature. But problem is we don't know how to wield it consistently. So we can't count on that. So the spiritual practice in Mahayana is for you to develop this ability to access your Buddha nature at will. And that's wisdom. Because when you access your Buddha nature, whatever you do is unconditioned. And that's wisdom right there. So if until you get back to the Buddha nature, okay, whatever you do is conditioned because there's a cause for it. And that's why you have hit and misses. Okay? But when you are able to go back to your Buddha nature, okay, then that's called unconditioned liberation. That's called wisdom. True wisdom. Okay? And so it's important. This is a jargon, the concept you need to know. It doesn't necessarily tell you how to go from the conditioned to the unconditioned. Right? Okay? And so that's all at this slide here, 192, simply tells you that where you are right now is conditioned. Your life is conditioned. Your future will be conditioned. Your past is conditioned. Everything about you is conditioned. And the spiritual practice that we're giving you, we're practicing together, is in order to get back to the unconditioned. Okay? There's a way, there's a methodology for you to go from the conditioned to the unconditioned. That only the Mahayana people know. Non-Mahayana practitioners have no clues. Meaning Hinayanas would not know. The non-Buddhists for sure don't know. Okay? Only the Mahayana have the technology, have the track record of bringing people to be in touch with the unconditioned. And in Chan school, we call it, see your Buddha nature. That's the unconditioned. The only thing that's unconditioned in this world, in this universe, is your Buddha nature, meaning that it wasn't created, has always been there, will always be. Whereas you are conditioned because you came from your parents. You see, you look at anything in this world, you can trace it back and it goes back to endlessly. That's why it's no point in tracing back, right? Seeking that knowledge is useless, where you should stop, put an end to this continuum of conditioned existence. That's the Mahayana spiritual practice. Does it help? Okay? The unconditioned is the only one thing, in this entire universe. Only one thing is unconditioned, that's your Buddha nature. So the non-Buddhist practices, they stole it from us, the concept. They said, the oneness, the totality, whatever, okay? All those are words. Only refers to this one thing, Buddha nature. Okay? And this Buddha nature here is what gives rise to everything else in this universe. And nothing created it, but the Buddha nature recreated everything else. Does it help? That's a big picture. The big picture is not going back to the past. Drop the past. Don't worry with the future either. You have, okay, to engage in spiritual practice in order to reach the unconditioned. That's why the past, the future, the present no longer matters. Comes to an end. All right? That's what it's about. 193, we continue with that next time. Thank you all. Good evening.